identify as a woman these days.
What do you identify as?
Kind of like a Adam Driver or a Ryan Gosling.
Feel Good is a great new show from creators Mae Martin and Joe Hampson. It's unexpected and really unique. I haven't really seen a show like this ever, but this might be your next favorite thing. So let's look at reasons why you should watch Feel Good on Netflix ASAP. Warning, mild spoilers ahead. It's super real. Obviously, when you read that a show is semi-autobiographical, then you expect it to have some sort of basis in the real world. And this is a show that definitely gives you that. It has some moments that actually come directly from the life of comedian Mae Marvin. So while it seems completely crazy and outrageous at times, it is actually pretty real too. It really gives a pretty true account of life and everything else. And the relationship feels real too. The relationship between George and Mae is pretty unique to them, but the relationship is very real. They don't sugarcoat the relationship or the people. Rather, they give it to you pretty real and pretty straightforward. Mae and George are far from the perfect relationship that is all happy and sunny. They are sure to have their good and bad moments, and things can become pretty messy at times. But it feels real, and it depicts the realities of a queer relationship in a realistic way, and the challenges that come with it too. You can clearly see that the writer is someone who had a lot of real-life experience with the subject matter, and not just someone who is trying to write a show based on what they think viewers want to see. And so does other types of love. It all feels real. They show all types of relationships and love, and the show handles these subjects really well. The relationship between Mae and George can slightly be codependent, and the relationship can even border on feeling a little bit toxic at times. But the real love that is there makes them both want to be better. And then there is the relationship between Mae and their parents. That is one relationship that had some serious drama, and that is far from okay. But at the same time, many people will relate to it. Their mom is pretty horrible, and there is a lot of pain and attention in the relationship, but at the same time, it's still pretty obvious that Mae still cares about her. It gives a pretty realistic view of the feelings that any person can have when they have a strained relationship with their parents, and how many feelings that can bring up, since most people still care even after they try to not feel the pain when their parents keep rejecting them and hurting them. Then there's a relationship between Mae and their sponsor Maggie. That is a really powerful connection, even if it isn't the typical relationship that most people have. There is love between Maggie and her daughter, and even a love and sometimes irritation between roommates too. So the show really does explore all sorts of love and relationships that can happen between people, and they do it in a way that you don't think is stereotypical. Rather, there is a lot of nuance in each situation and a lot of layers. None of them or the drama that they bring is ever just one-dimensional or one-sided. Again, it is a little bit of a realistic edge to an enjoyable show. It will make you laugh out loud. I know it all sounds super heavy so far, but in reality, this show is also really funny, and it'll make fans laugh out loud. It does have a very interesting sense of humor, but I do think that most people will be able to enjoy the humor in the show. There are some great unexpected moments that surprise you and make you laugh. It has some really heavy themes and stories, but it's also a really fun show that can just be really great to watch and for the fun of it too. It hits a really good balance between serious and comedic. It has a lot of fun chaos. Mae is a character that is really bad at looking after himself. You can even go so far as to say that they could be trying to destroy their own life, but the chaos that comes from these bad choices can be seriously funny even if you feel bad for them at the same time. Still, they are a character that is really lovable and that you're rooting for, so you keep hoping that they'll make better choices. You never know what they're going to do next or what bad choices they're going to make. I'm not entirely sure if it would be as fun to live with someone like that, but it does make for great TV. You want to shout at them because you just know that things will go badly, but at the same time, you can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Still, it does not shy away from serious subjects too. Mae is a queer character, and that comes with its own sense of challenges, and we'll get into some of those in just a little bit. But they are also an addict that is working hard on their recovery, and that comes with its own set of difficulties and problems. They have anxiety and PTSD, and the show also handles all of those themes and serious subjects with a lot of sensitivity and care. They aren't afraid to go there and really get stuck in the subject and the realities that someone can face when they're dealing with some of these feelings, but they do it in a way that doesn't tire out the viewer or make them turn off the show. It has a wonderful balance of creating a watchable show but still keeping it realistic. The same goes for subjects of gender. Since Mae Martin is bisexual and non-binary, they have real-life experiences when it comes to subjects like gender and sexuality, and they write on these subjects with great ease. At the same time, the show doesn't really try to over-glamorize sex or any sexuality in any way. They rather tell the stories stories in a real way where sex is just sex. It's part of life, but it's not all important. So they speak about it in a really fresh way that I haven't seen in many other shows. It's pretty special that Mae has so much control over the show and how the story is told, because this adds the layer of telling her own story. It might not fit with the stories of all queer people, but it still gives a level of representation that is truly beyond what most other stories can do. It has epic one-liners. Like I've said, it's a super funny show that has some incredible comedy, but it also has some seriously witty banter and dialogue. The dialogue is on point, and some of the lines are really memorable. Some of them might end up being truly iconic and in quizzes years from now. And some of the one-liners will stick in your head forever. I see fans everywhere using them for years to come and then living on long after the show has ended. It is really well written and one of the best comedies around at the moment, even if it's also so much more. Another great reason to watch it? 2 words: Lisa Kudrow. I absolutely adore Lisa Kudrow as an actress, and let's face it, she's one of the original faces when it comes to acceptance and being tolerant. So it would actually be pretty sad if she didn't have a part on the show. But even if I love to watch her, her character in the show is a pretty horrible person. Lisa Kudrow plays Mae's mother, and she's far away from any other character that Lisa has ever played as you can get. But she plays her incredibly well. Lisa had been through a lot, and viewers can feel for her. But there's just no real excuse for her behavior, or for how harshly she treats Mae, and seemingly has treated them ever since they were in the womb. It's a lot. But this is a character that is needed in the show to give the realities that not everyone is always supportive of your journey. Sometimes even the closest to you could be a main trigger and can cause a lot of pain to a character that already seems to be hanging by a thread at times. Even the smaller characters are layered. Many times shows focus on creating really layered and realistic main characters, but they can neglect the smaller character. So these characters can end up being very one-dimensional and kind of used as props in the show instead of real humans that have their own backstories and lives. But Feel Good has done really well with this. There aren't all that many characters in this world that really matter, but even the smaller characters are really well written and created. You might not even entirely know their stories, but it's obvious that they have them and that a whole show could be written about them. For example, George has a guy that lives with her, Phil, and he's a really awesome character that doesn't have a lot of focus on him, but it's still great. Then there's Maggie, who is Mae's sponsor and is a really important part to their recovery. She is mostly around to help Mae on their journey, but she is also a great character with her own issues, her own family, and a really intricate background, even if she didn't really need to have such a layered life. Plus, she is just a really great character. Pretty much all of the characters on the show have their good points, but they also have some pretty big faults. And these faults help to ensure that they all seem like real humans. It isn't a big commitment. You might not feel like starting a long-running new show, but this is another thing that is great about Feel Good. There are only 2 seasons, and they each have 6 episodes. You could even watch it in one weekend. Feel Good is a very unique show that is pretty versatile, so you might just love it.